Hello, everyone. It is Hembar again. I don't do videos on this channel all that often, and I hope that the background noise in this setup is not too obnoxious. Everything's kind of quiet right now, but who knows how long it'll last. The fridge over here is pretty loud, and it is winter. Well, it's approaching, so who knows about the furnace as well. I'll try to keep it short. Um, Today, I just kind of want to just reminisce a little bit on EverQuest. Some stuff that I have experienced, some stuff I have not experienced so much. But in particular, I want to record it on this day. Actually, if you go on my videos from last year, I don't have many videos, so they're easy to find. I made a video with my wife talking about baby number 3 coming. Okay. And so his birthday was today. But when in the hospital, I brought a book. I like to read a lot, so I brought a book, and the book I had at the time was EverQuest: The Rogue's Hour by Scott Siensen. Not a favorite book by any means, but it's the second EverQuest book I read. How appropriate that at this time now, this year, I'm reading EverQuest: The Ocean of Tears, which I had generally heard that's the best one. It's definitely very interesting so far. But anyways, I kind of want to talk about, just briefly mention that just this sense of memory and generally how easy it is to recall certain things depending on the events, right? Like I very easily recall that book because it was right at the hospital my son was born, right? Um, I don't really remember what other books I was reading at that time because I'm generally reading several books. I don't remember those. I'm sure I could remember if I went and looked up what else I was reading around that time. I could probably remember the books well enough, right? But like very strictly, I know I was reading EverQuest: The Rogue's Hour at this time. It's also kind of like I read a lot of Forgotten Realms stuff, which is a Dungeons and Dragons campaign setting, and I've read a lot. Like I've read over 100 Forgotten Realms books, and I was thinking about it earlier today, actually, that I remember pretty strictly when I had moved a few years ago, and I moved before the rest of my family did. So I remember I was driving back, playing a lot of EverQuest too. I was driving back to go and see my family in a different state since they weren't living with me at the time. And those drives, I listened to some Forgotten Realms novels, and I particularly listened to, I think, Shadows of Doom and like Cloak of Shadows and Shadow of the Avatar trilogy. Pretty much is the one I listened to, and actually in tandem with the Avatar trilogy, the original 3 books that I read 4 and 5 later. But and those stick in my mind, like because of that, event pretty much. Where I pretty much listen to the whole books on the drive. Right, that's a long drive, and I don't listen to the books at 1 time speed. I make them a little faster, so very clear in my head. Also, because it was kind of a sucky time, in that case, like great time for my son being born. Sucky time having to drive so far away. Spend lots of time and money just to go see my family because I wasn't with them normally. It's worth it, right? Because I was very depressed up here without them. But anyways, kind of digress. So it is the 12th of November when I'm recording this. What's cool though is actually in a few days we have a few things going on kind of for EverQuest. And I'm not a huge like EverQuest. Like I first played EverQuest in like late 2012 or early 2013. I'm not even sure. Right around, let's call it Forsaken expansion, if I'm remembering correctly. So gosh, I don't remember. I haven't played like any of the new expansions. I'm very low level as far as EverQuest is concerned. I think my highest tune is like 30 something. I very much enjoy the game though. It's very fun. I have several tunes that are, in their 20s or whatever. But anyways, again, I digress. The 17th, I think it's the 15th, is the first time a coalition of guilds on Rallos Zek went and fought the Sleeper. But the 17th is the anniversary of the Sleeper, I believe 2003, so about 21 years now, that the Sleeper was killed on Rallos Zek, which is a really cool moment in gaming history. Again, I wasn't playing EverQuest around that time, but, it's very cool to hear the story, and to know that you can commemorate it in some sense. I don't know what the heck you do, but it's good to remember at least. And that's how you keep that stuff alive, is remembering it. It's kind of how I feel about like just holidays in general. It's kind of off topic, but I'll give this aside real quick. That I feel like a lot of people just kind of in the United States in some sense, maybe just present, 2024 United States, maybe just Western culture in general, maybe just even among Protestant Christians, seems to have dumbed down a lot of things. There's not a lot of tradition. There's not a lot of things to celebrate. And I was thinking it was like last week is Guy Fawkes night or Pope night. We also had like the anniversary of Halo 2 coming out or Halo 4 coming out, which again, not important. Most people I'm a big Halo fan. But you also have things like St. Martin's Day, I think, was yesterday, if I'm remembering correctly. You also had Veterans Day, Remembrance Day, and that's stuff that, is good to remember and good to think about, right? Halloween, shortly before that, All Saints Day, All Souls Day. I feel like I wish more people would remember these things, especially things that used to be important, like, Whitsun or whatever, which in St. Martin's Day, which are not important really at all anymore. In most cultures, I should say. Even ones where they used to be pretty important. And so that's why I say like something like EverQuest, which again is only pertinent to people who play EverQuest. Maybe you could argue that something like Killing the Sleeper is a big moment in gaming. But another thing to remember, again, along those lines of EverQuest, is Brad McQuaid. Okay, I remember particularly his latest stuff, right, was Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, which I don't really follow at all. I kind of lost interest in it. I did support the original Kickstarter back in 10 years ago, but maybe someday when it's actually out and I actually care about what the company's doing. But that's an aside again. Brad McQuaid passed away on the 18th of November, 2019. So this year it'll be 5 years since his passing away. So I'm going to go into East Corona, where his little memorial is. There's this flaming sword and a stone in East Corona. I'll probably do this I'll do it on live EverQuest because that's where the memorial is, but I'll go there with my brother and we'll just, I don't know, sit there, think about Brad and, the stuff that he brought. It's funny, actually, I remember watching a Q&A on Pantheon, I think maybe when the Kickstarter was still going on, I'm not sure. It was about 10 years ago. It was a Q&A he did with Boogie2988, which is definitely a YouTuber who is vastly different these days. There's the fridge. I apologize. I'll try to end this, but so I'm going to try to remember Brad here this week. But it's also nice that I have actually a couple copies of the game. What's funny actually is I have a copy of EverQuest Titanium, which is what you need to play Project 1999, which I don't know how many people actually have copies of that, but we're not going to point fingers or anything like that. But it's cool to have an actual copy. It's like first 10 expansions we got back here. So, and I also have my brother got me all these pretty much. So thanks to him. I also have a copy of Planes of Power. It's got the guide in here. Since I think this is the adventure plus the expansion, and so it's got like a huge guide. Got the game as well, still in here. This one's actually just the expansion, but the guide has like a short story in it. I'd like to read it. This is Don Maid's art because Parkinson, I think this is the last one he did, was Planes of Power. Passed away, but sadly. But Don Maid's is a good artist. Some good art. Lost Dungeons and Norath, I don't really know much about that expansion. I'm a new member. I have this stuff in here besides the keychain. Keychain's not in here. So, but anyways, just kind of reminiscing a little bit. This is the channel for my random thoughts, and they're not coherent, and I don't feel like I have a good point to the video, but those are my thoughts. So anyways, again, sorry for the video. I'm in my kitchen, so hence why it's odd. Anyways, thanks for watching, though.